Welcome to the Connect the Dots podcast. Jeffrey Klein has conversations with a diverse array of successful people, sharing their stories to educate, inspire, and entertain. Here is your host, Jeffrey.
My guest today is Antoinette-Marie Williams, aka The Necklace or Double Threes. In addition to being an entrepreneur and writer, Antoinette-Marie is a world champion backgammon player. Hailing from New York City, she has played backgammon almost 50 years and has traveled across the US, Canada, the Caribbean, Central and South America, Asia, Africa, Russia, Eastern Europe, regular Europe, everywhere. Miss Williams also coaches and mentors all levels of players and organizes major tournaments, including Monte Carlo, Bali, and Egypt. Please welcome Antoinette.
Hello.
Good to have you. Now, I think I've explained to you, we're big backgammon players in my family. There's a backgammon board on our little kitchen island, and we play a lot, but we don't play at the professional level. And so while we enjoy it, I think, I'm curious to find out about how you go from being kind of a recreational player. We'll get there. But I like to start at the beginning. So where were you born and what did your parents do for a living?
Well, I was born in New York City, Queens General Hospital in Elmhurst, Queens. And by the way, I'd like to add that on October 30th, 1946, when I was to be delivered at Harlem Hospital was full. And so my mom was taken to Queens General Hospital. Now, I've come to realize only recently that back then in 1946, hospitals were segregated in New York City. So that was why we had to go to Queens in order for me to be delivered. None of the hospitals other than Harlem and New York City would have accepted my mom.
Crazy. And what did they do for a living when you were growing up?
My dad was a nurse's aide at Kingsbridge Veterans Hospital. And my mom was an A&P supermarket meat wrapper. Then she became a secretary at the New York City Harlem Chamber of Commerce.
And so growing up, what were your kind of dreams about what you want to do when you grew up?
I didn't think about that. I was content with being a youngster, playing with dolls, playing with my sister. I didn't have any hopes and dreams as a kid.
So was there anyone that you looked up to as a role model growing up that you're like, if I'm ever going to try and be like somebody, that's the kind of person I'd be like?
Probably my mom. Just she was an independent, no nonsense person. We all were afraid of her. So I guess I wanted to be a strong woman.
I'll share with you. So I'm one of three boys, and my mother was it still is a no nonsense person. And we all feared her just enough. We don't anymore, but there were times where it was a good thing.
Maybe they were related. Maybe they had the same DNA.
Well, I mean, we were three unruly boys. So I think it was partly necessity that she needed to be that way. No, we get along, and she's lovely. Let me be clear. So I'm kind of, fascinated, obsessed with story. Was there anyone in your life growing up that was a really good storyteller?
I can't remember. I watched a lot of television. And so I guess there were storytellers, but I never thought about anybody being a role model. I do know that I would go to the Apollo Theater and see comedians who would put together like Moms Mabley, Nipsey Russell, a lot of comedians during that time. So I guess that I would consider them storytellers because they had to put together stories to make you laugh.
100%. I think comedians are some of the best storytellers because they have to capture their attention of their audience and then take them on that journey.
Definitely.
And when did you start playing backgammon? How old, and who introduced you to it?
Well, I started playing backgammon in 1973. It was the rave of America. A friend of mine, she had introduced me to chess. And so we played chess. We would go to discos and set up a chess board, and guys would stand in line to play us chess for no money. And we would beat them miserably. And when Latin music came on, I'd get up and dance and then come back to the board, and they'd still be standing there waiting for their turn.
I love it.
So she then introduced me to backgammon, and it was like, I play so many games. It's like, I don't want to put another game under my belt. She said, but you got to learn this game. You got to learn this game. I don't know how I learned. I guess I learned by playing, not knowing the right moves to make, but I was very lucky. And the same thing, since I had gambling in my DNA, I started playing for money, and we would go to discos, bars, restaurants. Everybody had a backgammon set back then because it was the rave of America. So
who knew that discos were so populated with the chess and backgammon playing?
Yeah, it was amazing. So that's a friend of mine. Her name's Teresa. She was the one that got me kicking and screaming into playing backgammon.
And so, did it quickly become your favorite of the games that you played?
It was one of the games that I played. I played cards. Lots of different card games. And so when I went to discos and they had backgammon boards, I played. And I guess I went out every Friday night to a disco, so I was playing every Friday night. And then I graduated to going to bars. I got more confidence. I started going to bars to play. People thought I was a hustler, but everybody hustles.
Were you?
Every job in this world is a hustle. So if they wanted to consider me that, then that's what I was to them.
So was there, obviously you're making money from gambling at backgammon. Did you ever have a regular paying job when you were growing up? Or?
Oh, sure. I guess I don't consider. Yes, I had quite a few paying jobs. I started out, I guess, working at Bonwood Teller. I was an accountant without the title or the money. And they had these huge spreadsheets, huge spreadsheets that every week had to come up with the zero amount. Everything had to balance. So I did that for a while.
Did you like it?
Did I like it? It was a job.
Well, but I get the sense that being a card player and chess and backgammon,
Well, no, this was long before. This was long before. Remember, I graduated from high school in 1964.
Oh, so you came to backgammon later in life.
Yes.
But were you not playing? So did you not play any board games or things growing up?
Sure. We played checkers.
Mm-hmm.
We played card games with my family, bid whist, cutthroat pinochle. Mm-hmm. So we did have different games in our house, which is probably why I started gambling, because I was familiar with being challenged at home playing, and so I went out in the world and was challenged, and had to win because who likes losing?
Well, I just share I'm now part of an online poker game with my father and four of his friends in his building. And when they play live, they play with a jar of coins where the bet's, I think, a nickel, dime, or quarter. But even now, when we're not playing for money, there's pride involved in whether you win or not. So I'm happy to say that last night I did win. So,
congratulations.
Well, it beats 2 weeks before when I got crushed. So ups and downs in the game of gambling. And
that sounds like life to me.
So you've traveled extensively for backgammon and some, as you said, in all those kind of experiences, doing tournaments or just any other experience, is there a place that you were like surprised that you found yourself, whether it was a location or engaging with a specific person that you're like, I would have never guessed that I'd be here talking to this person?
It's interesting that you asked that question. There is one place in the world that I've been 37 times.
Where's that?
And it's Monte Carlo.
Mm.
It is my favorite place of all the places that I've visited in the world. And I still enjoy going there.
What makes it so special? I know there's a lot of gambling there, so I'm sure that's part of the appeal.
But not just that. It's the fascination of being in a place that's, what's the word I want to use? Just fascinating. Just the people, the place, the history, the places to go, the people to see, the things to do. It's just, it's wonderful. And because I've been so many times, I've made friends there who are like family. I speak very little French. They speak very little English, but we communicate. And it's like, we hug because we haven't seen each other for a year. Mm-hmm. It's like old home week. I love it. I absolutely love it. I've really enjoyed other places that I've gone. Cyprus, I really like Cyprus. Egypt, when I went to Egypt, Bali, all of those places are really, really exciting, but I really love Monte Carlo.
I've never been, and I'd like to go. I hear amazing things. So it's on my list because I travel. Okay. I love to travel, and we'll see. Is it a good place for children? I don't know if I want to take my kids or wait till I'm with just my wife.
Well, it's a vacation. You should take your wife, and then it's a vacation you can take the whole family.
Well, my children we play poker amongst the children as well. So
they can't play in the casinos.
No. But I'm saying they'll appreciate me going into a casino with some money and coming out with no money.
Oh,
I don't know. I see it. My problem is that I like poker much more than I'm good at it, but I do enjoy it.
Okay.
I see gambling.
Read some books, Jeffrey. Read some books. Read some books.
I think I have to be more committed, and I'm just not. I watched tons of poker. So I try and pick up from, the masters. And I interviewed a main event champion in my first season on the podcast. So we'll get there.
Some of my best friends are very good poker players now, but they came from backgammon.
I've heard, yeah. We're talking about Gus Hansen, who I loved to have seen.
Eric Seidel.
Yes.
Eric Seidel.
I mean, those guys are.
Howard Lederer.
Oh, the professor. He's so good.
Yes, Steve Zolotov. I don't know how much you've seen him. Freddie Shamanara.
So have you been to tournaments to watch them play? Have you played in poker tournaments?
Yes, but not really many. I played just regular poker in casinos, but not. But interestingly enough, I'm in, where was I? I think I was in Montenegro. I think it was Montenegro. Walking to the casino and coming towards me. No, it was not. It was in Melbourne, Australia, 2 Januaries ago. And they have $1 million tournament every year. And walking towards me in the lobby was Eric Seidel. It was like, how would you meet somebody that you know? I mean, we used to be neighbors in New York, but he now lives in Vegas. And I hadn't seen him in a while. It was like,
he's tall, right? He's very tall.
Very tall, very tall, very tall.
I actually saw him on TV within the last month at a poker tournament. He was featured because he's such a well-known and successful player.
Very successful, very. But he started out with backgammon.
Well, I have a curious question about the kind of professional level. One of the things about poker that I watch on TV is the banter that happens during the game around the table. Is there a similar thing in backgammon tournaments? I haven't been to one, so.
It depends on the camaraderie between the two players. Mm-hmm. If I were playing you and I didn't know you, then there would be no banter. But if you and I, now that we know each other,
right,
there would be some smack going back and forth. So it depends on the individuals playing each other.
I have a really important question now, because this does fascinate me as someone who plays a lot.
None of these other questions isn't important.
Well, this is the important question.
Uh-oh.
So is being successful at backgammon more about skill or luck?
I think both have to be included. It's supposed to be 80% skill, 20% luck, but it also depends on the individual that you're playing.
Well, I always say, and I use the example of Doyle Brunson, who, won the World Series of Poker with a arguably poor hand of 10-2 offsuit.
That's now a famous hand.
Right. It's known as the Brunson. And so, but I guess part of it is, and you could, make this metaphor for life. It's not the cards you dealt, it's what you do with them. Exactly. And I believe,
Well, backgammon is more about odds and probabilities, but you still have to have the luck in order to win. Without that, it doesn't matter if you can walk on water.
I always say, I love the quote, I'd rather be lucky than good. So
that's my motto. I'd like to be, and I would like to be the one person that the commentators, when I'm winning Monte Carlo, the World Championship in Monte Carlo, I would like them being shocked at every play that I make as I win the tournament. And I'm not nearly as good as the commentators who are commentating, but it doesn't matter to me. It's like, I love the game. I play to the best of my ability. I win some, I lose some, but it's all in the mix.
I'm curious, as I have young children who we play lots of board games and they play lots of, digital games now. Do you think board games are kind of a dying, art, in the sense that how are they competing against digital games with the technology and the graphics and the interactivity and all of that? What's your kind of take on the future of board games?
Well, I think our future lies in those of us that are pretty much over the hill. We introduce the younger generations to play because they don't play board games. They play those thumb games. and and they're content with that. They're content with that. But unless we get them out of that or introduce them to other games, other board games, then they're going to be history. Board games will be history.
Well, it's interesting. I don't know if you've seen the series, The Queen's Gambit.
Of course.
And so,
of course.
And the studies that the impact it had, where chess boards were being sold out at record rates.
Now an explosion again, yes.
Which is awesome to me, you know. And we have a chessboard, and my girls know the basic rules of chess, and we play. And again, yeah, I take a lot of pride in my wife and I both love games and board games in particular, and cards and all those things. And so, to me, it's a beautiful thing that my children enjoy them. So yes, my son plays more hours on the Xbox than I like to admit, but he likes Rummy Cube. He likes, you know, backgammon. He likes poker, and gin rummy. And so my feeling is that as long as I can they've been introduced to lots of games, and I think that's, you know, I was introduced to games when I was young. My dad taught me backgammon. I couldn't have been more than 5 or 6. And, you know, my love of games started from then. And so I think, again, but I think you're right. It's going to take those that already love it, sharing that love with younger people and getting them involved. And I'm trying to do my part with my 3. We'll see how successful.
And that's one of the things that I would like to try to get backgammon in the schools, because backgammon is a mind sport. It's not a gambling game, it's a mind sport, just like chess. And we should get it in the schools with the children now. It would help them. It would help them with understanding math a lot better, with being able to get to the next level, being able to understand, well, thinking ahead. And I think that that's very important.
I'll sign the petition for sure.
Okay.
How would you, success is a funny concept. And when I interview people who've kind of reached the peak, of their, endeavors, being a champion, how do you define success?
I think success is happiness, or being happy with what you've done, what you've achieved. Happiness for me is mentoring. It's helping, advocating for people with disabilities and elders, and seeing how we get things done, how we get from start to finish. That makes for me success.
And related to that, maybe similar answer, what inspires you?
Being able to help people, being able to take the knowledge that I have and applying it to whatever circumstance arises. And I'm always, my phone is always ringing with people asking. They spread the word. I don't know, it's like the word gets out there. Ask Antoinette, she'll help you. She knows a lot about whatever. And so, and that brings joy to my heart.
So I'm an adjunct professor, and I think, one of the things about being able to teach someone something and they value that and they get it, whatever it is you're teaching, they're like that aha moment of when it sinks in it's right, joyful, fulfilling. It's kind of, I think one of the purposes of life is being, not just experiencing something, but sharing that experience with others. I think a lot of times when I go somewhere with my wife who's never been, a restaurant, a place, whatever, and half the enjoyment is not me going to that place. It's how much I look at her to see how she's enjoying it. And that's you get even more out of it.
Yes.
So I love that.
Yes.
So if you could go back in time and talk to your 21-year-old self and give them a piece of advice, what would it be?
I would say go to college.
Interesting.
Do something, maybe become a judge. Go to college, go to law school, become a judge, advocate for children's rights.
So I don't know if you know this about me, but my father and grandfather were judges.
No.
For my family history has over 85 years of judicial experience. So,
what?
So yeah, it's so funny that I wasn't expecting you to say become a judge, but I failed because I did go to law school, but I never became a lawyer. I always tell my dad in the next life, but yes, I've been around judges my whole life.
That was, I guess, when I was 18. That was one of the jobs that I had. I worked for the Law Student Civil Rights Research Council, and they sent law students to the South to work with voter registration and other civil rights situations that were happening in the South. And alongside Liscrick was the ACLU. And so Eleanor Holmes Norton, Mel Wolfe, these were people that I admired, particularly Eleanor Holmes Norton, because here was a Black woman, a Black lawyer, and she was outspoken and she was representing people and very vocal, very out there in the public eye. And she went on to become a very famous person in the world in terms of, I think, well, first of all, she was at Howard University. She was like one of the head people at Howard in the law department. And she was also, I think she participated in some Senate matters, but she was well known and is well known. So that was like one of the people that I looked up to as well, and why I wanted to, because they tried to talk me into going to college and then law school, but at the age of 18 and till the age of 21, I don't want to do that. What do I want to do that for? And in retrospect, I would tell my 21-year-old self, get your in school.
I'm curious what you think's next for the next kind of trend about board games. And do you think it's possible to start, you said when backgammon was out, it was the rave of America. Do you think it's possible that a new game could come out and kind of catch fire like that?
A new backgammon game?
No, new board game. Any kind of board game.
No, I'm still hoping that backgammon will come back to life. I'm part of a women of backgammon group, and we're trying to get women back into the game, whether they're a beginner, intermediate, or champion player. And we're all trying to study together to make women unafraid of introducing themselves to playing in tournaments, to playing money games, or just playing at home, but having the gumption to enjoy the game and be aggressive, or out of their element when they play. So I think we're trying to bring it back to life. We're trying to give it a resurgence. And I think that's going to be possible. You said that your daughters and your wife play, and I hope that they will join the women of backgammon and become and able to
but then if they come and you teach them all the tricks, then they could come and whoop my butt.
That's what we want.
By the way,
them to do.
they currently do anyway. So just,
Oh, I see. Well, they'll be better at it too.
yeah, more. I'm okay with that.
And they'll teach dad.
That's
Say,
a good
no,
idea.
Dad,
like
you're
that.
doing that incorrectly. No, Dad, that's not the right play, Dad.
I look forward to that. So this is the rapid fire section where I'm going to ask questions. Don't think about it too much. Just kind of think of first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
If a movie was made about your life, who would you want to play you?
Halle Berry.
She's awesome. I worked on a movie with her. Another story. Should stories always have happy endings?
Yes and no.
You can expand. I won't.
No.
Oh, you're just gonna. I love it. I love it. Do you have a favorite emoji?
Hearts. Anything with hearts.
Can you name one of your favorite songs?
Oh, yes. Marvin Gaye. What's going on?
Oh, so good. Do you have a favorite social media platform?
No.
Fair enough. I like that answer. Can you name a book that left a lasting impression on you?
Oh, yes. Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston.
I haven't read it. I hear it's amazing.
What is it? What did you say, Jeff?
I said I haven't read it, but I hear it's amazing.
Oh, please read it, please.
I think I will.
And let me know if you cry.
All right. I don't cry often, but sometimes. I'm not afraid to cry. Not afraid to cry.
Okay. Okay.
Can you name one of your favorite movies?
Oh.
I know. I said one of.
What? Wuthering Heights.
Classic. What's one thing you can't live without?
My Ferrari. I don't know. You can't see it, but it's my motorized scooter. It gets me where I need to go. I would not be able to get out of my apartment alone if I didn't have this motorized scooter.
And if you could be credited with inventing something, what would it be and why?
I would say I would invent love.
That's one of the best answers I've ever had. Can't beat love. I think someone said fire once, and I thought that was pretty good, but love definitely beats that. Antoinette, this has been awesome. I really appreciate you talking. I want to give you a chance. Is there anything you want to promote? You talked about the women's backgammon. We'll put that in the show notes. Is that kind of the biggest thing on your mind, or is there anything else you're trying to kind of get the word out on?
Well, there are a lot of organizations out here that are helping us, especially during the pandemic time, to have things to do. And one of them is Dorot, D-O-R-O-T, which is I guess it's the Hebrew word for intergenerational programs. And so us elders and young people get together and we play chess, we have group discussions, we play brain games. There's so many things that this organization does. And I belong to this organization. I think I probably, in a week, I do 5 or 6 programs with them. I also am teaching an 8th grader, or we're teaching each other chess. She's a beginner. So I'm tutoring her, she's tutoring me. We have chess programs where young people are playing us chess. So that's one of the organizations I belong to. Another organization, so it's Dorot, I guess, .org that you can go to.
Well, yeah, we'll put it in the show notes and make sure we get the proper.
Also, Lily, Lily, that's another program that I belong to, where we watch a film one day in the week, and then we watch we watch a play one day in the week, and then we talk about and compare notes, have discussions about those particular things. Then also I belong to Moving Pen, which is a writing group where we get together and we write for about 15 minutes on a topic that the leader gives us. And then we read what we've written and we talk about it. And it's all positive. It's all positive. And at the end of the year, we put our writings in a book. And so we can share the book with people. So those are some of the organizations that I belong to. I belong to the USBGF, which is a backgammon organization. And so you find out about the tournaments that are being run in the United States and the American Backgammon Tour, where people go and try to win points and be the best players during the course of the year. And I might add that one year, 2017, I came in third place, which I was the only woman. I was in first, second, and third place during the course of the year, and was the only woman that's ever been in the top 3 in the history of the ABT. So
impressive.
These are some of the organizations that I belong to. I belong to a senior group. So
you're not busy, is what you're telling me.
No, I'm definitely. I have plenty of room on my plate, so just bring it on.
All right.
Just bring it. I'm the president of the Tenants Association in my building. But bottom line is, I love to help people. I'm an advocate for people, and I want that to be my legacy.
Well, Antoinette, thank you again for sharing so wonderfully your love of backgammon, your love of life, giving back, helping others. It's all positive, and I love it. And I just want to say, I really appreciate it, and thank you for helping us connect the dots.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking your time to listen to this podcast. Please subscribe on your preferred podcast platform so you don't miss any future episodes. If you could also do me a favor and please leave a review on iTunes, I would really appreciate that. Remember, story matters and is the best way to connect the dots.